To my knowledge, there is no fighting game without some sort of rivalry between at least two of its characters. It's a cliché that never gets old and makes total sense in a genre where conflict and competition are its main appeal. A rivalry is born when two characters have more or less an equal level in strength or status, but strive towards a goal that forces them to face each other. KOF has a lot of rivalries, so much that it was hard for me to cut their number to 10 entries, so expect to see many honorable mentions. With a series so complex, a lot of the rivalries in this list go all the way back to the original games where the characters in question come from. Some of them are pretty famous and known by all, others are a lot more obscure and may even surprise you. Without further ado, here's the top 10 fiercest rivalries in KOF. It feels good to know that one of the oldest rivalries in KOF is from the friendly kind. Ryo Sakazaki and Robert Garcia were best friends since their young age and trained together under the tutelage of Ryo's father Takuma. Having the same master means that they share a lot of moves and techniques, but that didn't stop the two from developing their own style over time. Ryo chose to adopt a traditional approach of the Kyokugen-ryu karate, focusing on the might of his punches that can be empowered with ki energy. On the other hand, Robert's main strength resides within his kicks. He uses a more creative style of his martial discipline and doesn't shy from inventing new moves every now and then that drastically changes the way he fights. Being both the main heroes of their original game Art of Fighting, no one can tell for sure who is the strongest among the two. While the friendship between the dragon and the tiger is unquestionably solid, they both strive to surpass each other in the best way possible. The next entry also concerns a member of the Art of Fighting team. It's an obscure rivalry that is about the undeclared war between KOF main staple Yuri Sakazaki and the newcomer to 2003 Mei-Lin. It all began when Yuri described Mei-Lin's fighting style as cowardly. To her defense, Yuri is not completely wrong. Mei-Lin uses a lot of hidden weapons when she fights, which make her look more like a backstabbing assassin than an honorable fighter. In comparison, Yuri utilizes a basic take of the Kyokugen-ryu karate that fits her capabilities and personality, and although it's the wackiest version of the martial art, it's still considered more honorable than Mei-Lin's fighting style, according to her. That was enough to gain the grudge and disdain of the young spy who went out of her way to form an anti-Kyokugen-ryu team with Kasumi and Eiji in KOF 11. Their rivalry is yet to be resolved, however, since the last time they were about to face each other, they were knocked off by King along other poor victims. This is one of my favorites because of how much it evolved over the course of two different series. Joe Higashi, the eccentric Muay Thai world champion, didn't always have this title. Before him, that honor was held by another Fatal Fury / KOF character, Wajai. Before the events of the original Fatal Fury, Joe defeated Wa during the finals of the Muay Thai World Championship after he was deemed unfit to participate in other competitions due to his violent nature. Wa was hired by Geese Howard as one of his henchmen. He faced Joe once again during a match of the King of Fighters tournament and was defeated for the second time. All the hatred that Wa had for Joe turned into respect and admiration when the latter entered the following tournament to avenge him when he was previously beaten by Krauser. Since then, they became good friends and supported each other during matches and trainings. That being said, Wajai never abandoned his dream of defeating Joe and claiming his title back as the best Muay Thai fighter, but at least he would do that with good sportsmanship. Vice and Mature have been together for a long time. They both know their strengths and weaknesses, and despite never showing any kind of hostility towards each other, a fearsome rivalry was bound to be formed between the two. Putting aside the win quotes and pre-battle dialogues that confirm this unspoken raging competitiveness, their rivalry is best symbolized by their very own fighting styles. One prefers the fast slashing attacks while toying with her victims with fake smiles and forced politeness. The other relies on her brutal, inhumane strength to grab and smash the opponent on the ground without forgetting to mock and trash talk to them in the process. Mature and Wise are members of the same clan and share the same goal, but that doesn't necessarily mean they care for each other. In fact, they don't even consider themselves friends in the first place. If their interests ever clashed, things are going to be ugly for sure. They always wanted to know who's the strongest among them. They just rarely had the opportunity to jump at each other's throat. This rivalry is simultaneously serious, old, complex, and unresolved, as one of its parts died before reaching any conclusion. The rivalry in question is between the chief of the Ikari warriors, Hydern, and the angel with the heart of gold, Rugal Bernstein. Joke aside, Rugal is the head of a criminal enterprise specialized in weapon and drug trafficking. On the opposite side, Hydern is the leader of a mercenary group with the mission of fighting all kinds of terrorist organizations, just like Rugal's. But the rivalry between the two men is way deeper than their professional statuses. It's personal, at least for Hydern. Sometime in the past, Rugal killed Hydern's wife and daughter, but spared the soldier's life because he considered him too weak and not worth killing. Obviously, the power difference between them was huge, Rugal being a monster in human form and all. But that was in the past. Hydern came a long way since then and even invented his own fighting style. Taking that into consideration, in addition of the personal motivation that he has, if they ever get to fight again, it's going to be one heck of a show. Originally teammates who were supposed to serve the same goal, Kula and Angel are both products of Nest technology. It didn't take long before they turned at each other, igniting an enmity that still lives on long after the downfall of the syndicate that created them. Nest researchers were geniuses in bioengineering, but were clueless on how to make their agents loyal and work as a team. Angel saw Kula as the spoiled kid of Nests. She was assisted all the time by their top operatives and was tasked only with special missions. I don't know if it was jealousy, but Angel surely hated Kula to her core and couldn't stand her. On the other side of the coin, Kula never paid attention to Angel until the latter tried to kill her sister figure Foxy during her escape with K49. From that point, the little girl held a deep grudge against her and doesn't seem ready to forget about it anytime soon. The funny thing is that both girls are very sweet with everyone else, as long as they are far from each other. The moment they cross paths, their claws and fangs come out. Another rivalry that spawned from Nest meddling with human DNA is the one between the series' main protagonist, Kyo Kusanagi, and the series' second main protagonist, K-. After his climactic battle against Orochi, Kyo was kidnapped by the nefarious cartel and got his DNA used to create multiple clones and weapons. One of their products was K-, an orphan who was infused by Kyo's DNA, which allowed him to gain control over the fire element. He discovered later that he was created to surpass the original Kyo, but instead he was unable to fully control his flames, hence the special glove that he always has on to keep it in check. But K- has no intention in accepting his fate as a mere clone of Kyo and strives to surpass him in every way possible. Kyo on his part doesn't make things easy on K-. With his arrogant and snarky attitude, he feels no shame mocking and belittling him. It's true that none of them is evil and have no reason to fight each other. It's just impossible for two edgy teenagers with fire powers to cool down. When they were first introduced to the series, the New Faces team didn't look malicious or evil. Their sole apparent reason behind their participating was to have their somewhat childish and innocent revenge against Iori Yagami. I said childish and innocent because of how they look now when we take into consideration how things turned out during the tournament. Originally a rock band, they were shocked one day when they learned that their show was cancelled in favor for another band that was led by, you guessed it, Iori. Yashiro, the leader of the trio, took that as a personal offense. When he discovered that the red-headed man was participating to a fighting tournament, he saw it as the perfect chance to punish Iori for what he did. Of course, things turned out to be a lot more complicated when it was revealed that Yashiro and his companions are part of the 4 Heavenly Kings of Orochi, and that they were natural enemies even before they were born. Iori and Yashiro were never destined to be best buds, that's for sure. Then again, we're talking about Iori Agami. Socializing and making friends have never been his forte. The movie doesn't count. The classic rivalry, the good young wolf against the mean old goose. Cherry and Geese's rivalry is one of the oldest in fighting games, and despite how old their relationship is, there is still room for twists. Geese may be a slimy, manipulative, power-hungry jerk, but when it comes to fighting, he is a badass. It doesn't matter if he is a lot older than his all-time rival, he still got it. The secret behind his strength resides in the fact that Geese doesn't rely solely on his enterprise, influence, money, or bodyguards to establish his superiority. He also likes to show his dominance physically by challenging and defeating strong fighters. He gets very annoyed and disappointed if his opponent doesn't put up much of a fight and consider it a waste of time. Terry's motivations are simple. He is driven by pure thirst of vengeance. After all, Geese was the man who robbed him of his father figure and forever changed his life. No matter how many times he comes back to life, Terry never gets tired from kicking him off his tower's balcony. What I find cool about these two is even though they never said it out loud, they clearly respect each other's strength. Geese in particular looks relieved whenever he's about to face Cherry, as if he's ready to accept whatever the outcome of their duel will be. Before getting to the number 1 spot, here's some honorable mentions. I know, none of you saw this one coming. What a surprise. I mean seriously, who else could it be? Kyo and Iori are the two main pillars of the King of Fighters franchise. They are both wielders of the fire element, but Iori's flames have an advantage. They can stun their victim and force them into a stasis-like state. Although the price of such power is heavy, Iori is ready to pay it as long as it gives him the chance to beat his stubborn rival. Kyo is well aware of that, despite his lazy attitude regarding school and studies. When it comes to combat, he is a hard-working man, always trying to push his limits and coming up with new moves and techniques that reinvent his entire fighting style. And so far it works for him. He was never defeated by Iori, not in his normal state anyway. At first glance, Iori seems to be the one who's always looking for a fight. That's only true with Kyo, however. He actually doesn't like violence and avoids confrontations most of the time. Kyo rarely starts fight with Yori, but he's surely no innocent with his provocations and smug face. It's noteworthy that the long war between their clans has nothing to do with their shared hatred. They just can't stand each other and will only reluctantly work together against a common mighty threat. And even then, most of the time, it's thanks to Shizuru who knows how to reason with their thick skulls. Now that they are officially teammates in KOF 15, I'm really curious to see how their rivalry is going to develop. But let's be realistic here. I don't think they're going to change their phone numbers and email addresses anytime soon. That was my top 10 fiercest rivalries in KOF. Which one is your favorite? Or is there another duo that I forgot to mention? Share your answer with us in the comments. Special thanks to my generous patrons for their support. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and why not consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.